They say history is written by the victors. But some parts of history were erased by everyone. And nothing was erased more aggressively than a strange set of symbols discovered deep inside. The oldest pyramids of Egypt. Symbols that shouldn't exist. Knowledge that didn't belong to their era. And warnings carved so precisely that modern engineers still can't explain how they were made. This is the story of the Pyramid Code. They tried to erase a secret hidden in plain sight, whispered by crumbling stones older than our recorded memory. Some archaeologists believe this code was a scientific manual. Others say it was a prophecy. But a third group believes something far more unsettling, that the code was indeed created by the ancient Egyptians. It was inherited from a forgotten civilization long before them. When the first fragments of the code were discovered in the 1800s, the scholars who saw it called it impossible. Even now, modern Egyptology avoids discussing it openly. But the deeper you look, the stranger it becomes. Inside the Pyramid of Unas, a structure built more than 4,000 years ago, the walls are covered with symbols known as the pyramid texts. At first, researchers assumed they were religious poems. But when linguists mapped their arrangement, something shocking appeared. The symbols formed a mathematical grid, perfectly aligned to the cardinal points of Earth. Each cluster encoded prime numbers, orbital ratios, and solar patterns only discovered by modern science thousands of years later. How could a civilization without telescopes know the exact length of the solar year, or the distance between Earth and the Sun with only a small margin of error? Even more disturbing, why were certain parts of the code deliberately scratched out, and who erased them? When radar scans revealed hidden chambers above the King's Chamber in the Great Pyramid, archaeologists thought they'd find construction notes or quarry marks. Instead, they found symbols that matched the Pyramid Code, but these ones were incomplete, almost like missing pages from a book someone tried to burn. The position of these erased symbols follows a pattern. Every removed carving corresponds to astronomical events tied to catastrophic cycles, solar flares, magnetic reversals, droughts, and floods. It was as if the ancient Egyptians believed the sky itself was sending warnings, or they were preserving knowledge from someone even older than them. But here's where everything becomes unsettling. In 1954, the Khufu ship, an enormous wooden vessel buried next to the Great Pyramid, was excavated. Hidden inside one of the timbers were burned markings similar to the erased symbols in the code. Carbon dating showed something impossible. The wood came from a tree older than the pyramid itself. How do you build a boat with wood older than your civilization? Why would the markings resemble warnings carved deep inside the pyramid? Some believe the Khufu ship wasn't meant to sail water, but to symbolically sail through time, preserving a message from a forgotten age. But the most controversial part of the Pyramid Code is found not inside a tomb, but beneath the desert sands. In the 1990s, French researchers discovered a stone slab near Saqqara with lines of text too faint to translate. Only after digital enhancement did they realize its connection to the code. It described a sky fire that burned the rivers, a darkening of the sun, and builders made of light. The mainstream explanation, religious metaphors, but the slab's final line is the part Egyptologists refused to publish for years. Protect the code, for when the burning returns, the code will be needed to awaken the guardians. Guardian of what? And what is the burning? Some claim it describes the solar maximum cycle, a period when the sun becomes violently active, capable of wiping out electricity today. Others think it refers to comet impacts or massive volcanic eruptions, but a small group of researchers interpret it differently. They believe the code wasn't predicting destruction, but teaching survival. According to them, the code explains how ancient builders protected structures against natural disasters using vibration frequencies, geometry, and energy redirection techniques. Modern engineers still struggle to replicate the precise angle of the Great Pyramid, 51 degrees and 51 minutes, matches the angle at which energy coming from the Earth's crust disperses most efficiently. Coincidence? Or engineering knowledge long forgotten? Every major pyramid shares the same acoustic properties, low-frequency resonance that stabilizes the structure during earthquakes. Did the code explain how to build disaster-proof monuments? And is that what someone tried to erase ancient engineering far ahead of its time? But here's the twist that changes the entire narrative. In 2018, excavations near Dusha uncovered a collapsed chamber containing fragments of pottery with strange triangular symbols. These symbols were nearly identical to the erased portions of the pyramid code, but cleaner, sharper, preserved in clay instead of stone. When researchers analyzed them, they discovered something astonishing. Each symbol corresponded to a sound frequency that when played produced harmonic waves matching the interior resonance of the Great Pyramid. In simple terms, the code wasn't just written knowledge, it was audible knowledge. A language of sound. A blueprint encoded through vibration. Suddenly, the scratched-out sections make sense. If the wrong person understood these frequencies, they could potentially manipulate resonance inside large stone structures, causing collapse or pressure waves. That might explain why ancient priests guarded certain knowledge, not to hide magic, but to prevent misuse of acoustics in a time when stone temples were the heart of civilization. But what if the code wasn't erased by ancient Egyptians? What if it was removed in the modern era? In the 1800s, explorers used chisels to carve their names into pyramid walls. Victorian scholars often erased unimportant markings to create smoother surfaces for photographs. What if they unknowingly damaged the only complete copy of the ancient sound code? That possibility grew stronger when a previously unknown chamber was discovered behind the north face of the Great Pyramid using Moyne scanning. The chamber S orientation suggests a purpose different from burial. It perfectly aligns with spots where the erased symbols once appeared, meaning the missing pieces of the code might still be inside, hidden in a chamber untouched for thousands of years. But the Egyptian government has forbidden entry until further notice. Some say it's for safety. Others believe they want to control the narrative. If the code truly holds knowledge of energy, sound, astronomy, and disaster cycles, it would rewrite our understanding of ancient history forever. And maybe that's why someone tried to erase it. The deeper question is, why leave a code at all? Ancient Egyptians believed knowledge should outlive civilizations. That's why pyramids were built to last. If they inherited knowledge from an older culture, one destroyed by a global catastrophe, they may have felt obligated to preserve warnings for us. And today, with rising natural disasters, solar storms intensifying, and magnetic poles drifting, the code feels less like myth and more like a message. A message waiting to be completed. A message waiting for someone brave enough to open the sealed chamber. Until then, the pyramid code remains the greatest secret carved into stone, and maybe the greatest warning we've ignored. If you want more hidden history like this, don't forget to subscribe to World History Secrets, where the past becomes a map to the future.